Blessed love to each and every one. Do give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie the First. Of course, you know you are in the tiger's nest. Yes, of course. The Honorable Priest Isaac here with you, just dovetailing from off of our wonderful program previous night, which was Rastafari and the pyramids. Of course, you know, it was wonderful, man. The whole vibration was nice. The 31st of May. And we went through many different things. I'm thankful for all of those who were there. If you did not see that episode, of course, you could just return to our YouTube channel and look for it. It's Rastafari and the pyramids. What does Haile Selassie the First have to do with the pyramids? Wonderful. And of course, as you could see, but as I said before, I talk about what you can see. The reason why we're doing this program is because a few people already contacted us, you know, and they were very happy about the program, but they wanted some more information as it relates to why, you know, Rastafari dealing with Egypt, because a lot of Rastafari, they're showing me now, told them that Egypt is a bad place, and Egypt is paganism, and and Priest Isaac don't know what he's talking about because he don't understand that the children of Israel was in captivity in Egypt. So I said, okay, no problem. I'm sure many of you may have that same concern, so we'll definitely touch upon that. It's not going to take too long. Now, as I was saying, what you can see on the screen here, give thanks to the Honorable Prince Al-Masih for such mighty works. Just highlighting, of course, the upcoming summer solstice. Hey, so many things. The upcoming summer solstice, a virtual edition. Of course, previous night we kind of went into that in depth. We have programs that we will be dealing with that in the very near future. So I'm just running through this with you quickly. I'm talking about Thursday, the 17th of June until Sunday, the 20th of June. Yes, 3 exciting days. Remember the cannabis tour and lecture. We have a live Rastafari chalice talk. That's going to be wonderful. We're going through the marijuana fields, the cannabis fields again. You definitely will be seeing let's say, the evolution of the plants that you saw just 3 months ago when we did our spring equinox. Definitely, as I said, double hike, morning hike and evening hike to the megaliths. I think the program previous night somewhat gave you a good idea of what this whole science is all about, with the alignments with megaliths and alignments with the pyramids and these megalithic sites. But don't worry, in a few days we'll be putting up a few more programs directly dealing with the very same science of the alignment. So anyway, of course, remember, if you want to get your early bird ticket, definitely before Sunday. No, it's Monday, the 7th of June. You could get your full package. The ticket for the full package is only $85. Well, the package is $100, But if you get it before the 7th of June, what they call the early bird price, you get it for only $85. Now, keep in mind, for those who may not know exactly what's taking place here, I'm just kind of running through this because I want to get to the subject, but this is 3 days. This is not a lecture. This is 3 days. It's a virtual event. You're going to be home, sitting back, relaxing, and we'll be taking it from there. 3 days, at least 2.5 hours each day. Day number 1, we'll be going amongst the cannabis sativa. We'll be going to the Rastafari community. We'll be seeing the progression of the herb and the ganja industry and everything. You'll be getting some Nyabingi as well. We'll be talking to the elders. We're going to have a live Rastafari chalice talk. Then Friday morning, we are going to be hiking up the Green Castle Hill for the sunrise hike. Remember, this is the summer solstice, so we will be going through the megaliths while the sun is aligning. Sunday afternoon, we're returning for the sunset hike. The griot Paddy Simon, he will be with us, and he will be giving us the history of the region, So it's 3 days. You log out and you log back in. You log out and you log back in 3 times. And the whole package. Because we are restricting our guests from coming here because of all the COVID restrictions. And as I tell people, we don't want to carry you to too much confusion. That's why we're doing it virtual. And the whole package is just $100. It's not $100. I don't care what nobody say. It's just No fee no way, family. $100. But you could definitely get your early bird prize for only $85. And as I said, we're going to be doing programs on that. And of course, it would be remiss of me if I do not highlight. I'm talking about tomorrow evening now. This is really the second clash now, the second part of the double header. Previous night was part one, and this is part two. So if you full enjoyed previous night lecture, which is Rastafari and the pyramids, you're definitely going to full joy this tomorrow night. It's the mystery of the ark. I'm already putting it in order for you. And remember, this you got to be on time now. This is 7 p.m. sharp. This is not on YouTube. Again, this is an online lecture. As you know, we do our series of online lectures, pardon me. So this is a webinar. The admission is only $25 for this specific one, this webinar. That's tomorrow evening, or whenever you're seeing this video, Wednesday, the 2nd of June, 2021. So you could register via email, priestIsaac27@gmail.com. if you do not have the Cash App. But if you make your reservation using the Cash App, or your payment, I should say, using the Cash App, please contact us via email again. And of course, you will receive your key that will take you straight to the lecture hall. You can go right now and present yourself and cool and wait for me for the next 24 hours. All right. Yes, no problem. So that's going to be a wonderful lecture, my family. I will repeat, if you full joy the previous lecture, previous night, I'm sure you'll be definitely delighted, because this is not just about the Ark of the Covenant. We're going to be talking about the Ark. And what I'm going to be talking about right now, I think will even put you in a position somewhat in preparation for what we'll be getting into this evening. All right, not this evening, Wednesday evening. Well, this may be Wednesday again, depending on when you're seeing this video, because this was recorded on June the 1st, which is a Tuesday. Now, the true biblical land of Israel. So the question really is, this is not really making sense. Yeah, the Rasta talk about this Osiris stuff and this Heru stuff and this greed man and this fella with the falcon head and this stuff. We never hear him talk about symbolism. Yeah, but I can't listen to all them things all the time. I have things to do. Yeah. But Rasta deal with Egypt. Rasta bun out Egypt. Look in the Bible. The Bible say, listen, St. Paul, listen to me, man. St. Paul, Luke and John, the Bible says, you know what I mean? We burn Egypt. That's the point. Woe be unto Egypt. Okay. So really, I just want, this is, as I said, one of our books. This is the true biblical land of Israel. And I'm going to utilize it to go through this now. As I said, I'm not, this is not in no opposition to anyone's outlook or anything, because those who brought this to me came to me with a genuine heart. They actually wanted to understand it. So that's what I'm going to do. But they did tell me, but the reason why, because, the elders, well, I shouldn't say elders, but other ones are not too pleased with you, priest Isaac, for telling people about Egypt and Selassie and pyramids. Selassie ain't got nothing to do with pyramids. Anyway, yeah, you know how it is, my family. Sometimes I wish I don't have to even explain it like that, but that's just how it is. So in our book now, let me just pull this up. Yeah, the book begins with the initial plot. And it says here, in the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed I have given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. So what I did, I highlighted using the map on modern day geography. an understanding of placements of places, to highlight that the river Euphrates is this river here. It runs alongside the river Tigris. And the river Euphrates, so it runs through Iraq, it runs through Syria, you see it there. And then the river in Egypt is obviously this river here. Now, these two rivers are world-renowned rivers. These rivers are considered to be the rivers of civilization. So when it comes to civilization, usually rise up on the banks of rivers. The Indus, was the one in China, the Yellow River, whatever it is. But then the Tigris and the Euphrates are top rivers. The River Nile is top of the top. The longest river on the planet, some 4,200 miles long. I'm talking about the River Nile. So according to the Bible now, God talking to Abraham, or Abraham at the time, saying him that, listen, I'm going to give you this land here. It wasn't a land it's not a land, pardon me, that he wasn't accustomed to or familiar with. But God is showing him now, this boundary here, I'm going to preserve this area for you and your seed to come. Now, let me ask, who are the seeds to come? It's the children of Israel, because Abraham had Isaac with his son, Isaac, Ishmael, and some other children. But Isaac now, of whom the Spirit would have passed through, had Jacob and Esau, but Jacob is the one that carried that spirit, which is called the pearl. And then Jacob now had the 12 sons and the daughter. And these 12 sons, specifically according to the Bible, are those who brought forward the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And then the story and the metaphor and the allegory as well, it's several things going on there, goes on to show you that the 12 tribes of Israel, or the children of Israel, are really God's chosen people. All right. So these are the people really that would have inherited this land here, the land from the river Euphrates to the river in Egypt. Now, as you can see, we highlight really what landmass that would be. This is the Eden of the Bible, which has now become the landmass that Abraham is going to get. You have Northeast Africa, Kemet, Sudan, Kush, Northern Ethiopia as such, even more than Northern Ethiopia, really, because it comes all the way down into North Africa in general, Somalia, and then you have Arabia itself, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, etc., etc. All right, fair enough. Now, so the point is that this is interesting, because now the other day we went through this book and we spoke about the creation of modern day Israel. So I'm not going to go through that now. That's in a video we just did the other day, as it relates to the Israeli and the Palestinian conflict that was going on. And of course, pockets of that is still going on. And so we were highlighting modern day Israel. This is Israel of today. This is the Israelis' place that they call Israel, squeezed between Sinai and Jordan. Now remember, according to this book, the true biblical land of Israel, the morals of the book as such is that, because it's really a theory. It's a theory. It's my theory. So in other words, it's not something that the universities have accepted. So it's a theory. But the theory is that according to the biblical description, Africa and Arabia is the land of Israel. And the true biblical Israelites are the melanated people that we call Africans. That's really the theory here in my book. So a part of expressing that, we had to somewhat debunk this whole theory of the Ashkenazi people being the biblical Israelites. They may be Israelis, but they're surely not the Israelite. And we had to, debunk, pardon me, this whole concept of Palestine being the land of Israel. Now, obviously, if it is also a part of the landmass, Palestine is also a part of the landmass between the river Euphrates and the river Egypt. All right. But those that created this state, remember, they were supposed to go to Argentina first. They were considering going to Uganda to form the same state of Israel. So this is a make-up stuff. So what has happened here is that within this place, this is from Dan to Beersheba is here, meaning that everything you read of in the Bible, as far as Israel and its whole construct, they have found some way to fit it somewhere here. Galilee, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, everything fit here perfectly. Maybe a little bit extra they need to reconquer more and then get the whole story. But it's not taught that the real land of Israel is all of Africa plus Arabia. But that's what the Bible says. That's the land he gave to Abraham. But no, Ras, you said it was from the river Euphrates to the river in Egypt. Yeah, it's all of Arabia, but it's not all of Africa. It's just, Northeast Africa. It's interesting, but it's not all of Africa, though. All right. Now there's an expansion of the land as we deal with in chapter 2. Now, after the death of Moses, this is, well, chapter 2, yes, but this is Joshua chapter 1. Now, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise and go over this Jordan, thou and all of this people, unto the land which I have given them, even the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses, pardon me, from the wilderness of this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, just spoke about that, all the land of the Hittites, unto the great sea, towards the going up down of the sun shall be your coast. And of course, within the books of Moses, the Most High already told him that he will expand the land. All right, so the expansion now, the river Euphrates onto the great sea. Now that's interesting, because we still have the borderline of the river Euphrates. That's what the river Euphrates and the river Egypt is in. They're borders. So that's one border and that's the other border. A simple thing. All right. Now he's going to expand the land. He's going to make it bigger. So it's not the same borders anymore. So he's going to move the borders, or at least one of the borders have to move for it to get bigger. All right. Both borders don't have to move. One can move, or both can move. But in this case, one of the borders are moving. Are you following me? I'm not making this stuff up. That's why he still says, unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites unto the great sea, towards the going down of the sun, this shall be your coast. Now, this is it, quickly. I'm not even going to spend too much time on it. It's in the book. We have done many programs on this. The river Euphrates. Is there anyone here disagreeing? Anyone that the river Euphrates is here? Anybody? All right. Unto the great sea. This is the great sea here, the Atlantic Ocean. Now remember, it was from the river Euphrates to the river Nile. You understand me? Then the land get bigger. So you go into the sea. Which sea? Which sea? The land getting bigger. This boundary didn't move. This is the boundary that moved. And it go into the sea. Which sea? The Red Sea? Where's the boundary going? To the Mediterranean Sea. Which Mediterranean Sea? It says the Great Sea. No, but Ras, when I open my Bible, the map in the back of the Bible says that the Mediterranean Sea is the Great Sea. Oh, and who said that? Moses? I'm sure not even St. Paul said that. Somebody make up that. That's a religious idea. That's not even theology, that's religion. So that was done now. Because listen to me, according to the Bible, the Great Sea is supposed to be to the west coast of Israel. Hear me, eh? So this is why, very important, family. If you look in a Bible, again, with a map, they will tell you that the Mediterranean Sea is the biblical Great Sea. Are you listening to me? This is very important. We don't have no time to play here. So Israel today, which is Palestine, this place here in white, to the west is the Mediterranean Sea, which is what people or religion teaches to be the biblical Great Sea. But I am telling you that the biblical Great Sea is the Atlantic Ocean. Number one, first of all, it was once called the Great Sea. The Vikings called it the Great Sea. So historically, it doesn't have the name the Great Sea. But watch this. That's historically. But listen to common sensically, just to make up a phrase. Common sense can tell you if the boundaries were the River Euphrates and the River Nile, we want more land. Okay. Which boundary we going to move? Let's move the River Nile boundary, the river in Egypt. All right. So we got to go this way. We can't go up and, no, man, that's not making sense. So then, no. And watch now. Follow me. We almost done. We almost done. In Ezekiel, it describes the land of Israel. In chapter 47, check it out, verse 18 to 21. And the east side ye shall measure from Huran and from Damascus and from Gilead and from the land of Israel by Jordan and from the border unto the east sea. And this is the east side. And the south side southward, let me read everything. From Tamar even to the waters of the stripe of Kadesh, the rivers of the great sea. And this is the south side southwards. And the west side also, I highlight this in the book, the word also. And the west side also shall be the great sea, from the border till a man cometh over against Hamath, and this is the west side. And so shall he divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. So he's talking about the land of Israel. The land, look at the end, so shall he divide the land amongst the tribes of Israel. So this land, quickly, has an EC, first of all. All right, EC, that's the EC here. It's called the Indian Ocean today. That is the EC. Now it's not the EC. Okay, let's go to the land of Israel today. Bam, this is the land of Israel. Where is the East Sea? Don't tell me the Jordan River is the East Sea. Where is the East Sea? East Sea. Okay, that's an interesting point. There ain't no EC here. Oh, this thing down here, hold on, that's the south coast of Israel, which it hardly has. It's just a little tip. But anyway, don't run from the point. Where's the EC? Israel don't got no EC. All right, good. Fair enough. All right. It also says that the Great Sea, southwards, the waters of Kadesh, the rivers run into the Great Sea. All right, that's historically, they have rivers here, all the brethren in South Africa. No, we have rivers, springs, all kind of things in South Africa. And the south part of South Africa is a mystic place. Eh? It's almost like you're gone into the Arctic or Antarctic. Penguins and so that's be coming up there. South Africa. So what I'm saying is that according to the scripture, the Great Sea is at the south. And look at this. The west side also shall be the Great Sea. That's why I point out the word also, because the scripture says here in Ezekiel 47 that the Great Sea is to the south of this land of Israel, and to the west also shall be the Great Sea. So wherever Israel is, the Great Sea is supposed to be to the west and to the south. Wherever Israel is, the Great Sea is supposed to be, pardon me, to the west and to the south. So the Mediterranean Sea now, as the Great Sea, is to the west of Israel. And it's not really to the west, because it's to the west of Lebanon, to the west of Israel, and only half of Israel western area is coast by the Mediterranean Sea. It's bordered by Sinai to the southern part of this west coast, but anyway, or this western border. But anyway, that's not the point. We're not even feeding on that. The point is that the Great Sea is supposed to be to the west and also to the south. But the Mediterranean Sea is not to the south of modern-day Israel. It hardly has a sea there. Let's go down here more in the book where we give you, this is the western coast of Israel, which is not really, it's just a little thing between Jordan and Egypt, and they all share the Gulf of Eilat or Aqaba. You see it right here, which is really this spot here that I am showing you. Look at it good. This little spot here, Sinai, which is Egypt, the same Egypt, and Jordan, and this little niche here, that any little war between them that could just cut them off. That's how they live. The point is, this is not the biblical Israel at all. The description doesn't show it. And the description clearly shows you. You remember, you got to keep in mind, the hyena teaching the lion his story will never give the lion the truth. And even some who refer to themselves as Hebrew Israelites, with no disrespect to them, talking about the disrespecting Africans, this in their own self, with a mix-up story and the 12 tribes chart. I have a brother that I'm going to interview on that soon. Just give me a little while. He already said he's coming, but I got to go to him. He's right here in Antigua. And he's going to be talking about the 12 tribe chart, you know, like the Haitians are Levi's, I think Jamaicans are Benjamin, and anybody in America is Judah, and that kind of thing, and Hispanics are Naphtali, or however the thing go. I don't really know it to the fullness, but he at least I don't know how they rank them, but I've listened to the explanation of how it comes about, and nah, I think it's a bit weak. But I mean, this is biblical. So my point is here now, that there are many things that stand out, even in the book of the book specifically that speaks about not from Dan to Beersheba, but anyway, the city of David. Look at it here, and the name of the second river was Gion. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Oh, look at it here, Second Chronicles chapter 33 verse 14. You know, after this he built a wall without the city of David on the west side of Gion. The west side of Gion. The west side of Gion is the River Nile. Remember, the River Nile is Gion. Let me take my time here. The River Nile is Gion. How do you know that? Genesis chapter 2, verse 13 says, and the river Gion encompasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. This is the same river of Egypt. It's one country, Ethiopia and Egypt, from ancient time, from Cush time. So it's one. So this great river that runs to Egypt is the same river that encompasses the whole land of Ethiopia. Are you following me? Okay, good. According to Second Chronicles, the city of David was was on the west side of the river Gion. Which river is the river Gion? The river that encompasses Ethiopia, the river in Egypt. That's the Gion. Oh, and the city of David, according to Second Chronicles chapter 33, verse 14, was on the west of the Gion. Come on, man. On the west of the Gion. That's the same Gion that Solomon was baptized in to become king. David was on his deathbed. David said, hey, listen, get the donkey and go down to the river and baptize him and come back. Make sure you come before the sun set, you know, because I don't want. Well, he didn't say that to him, but if you read the story, it wasn't like a 3 months journey. If you were to leave Jerusalem up here to come down here, even to come up here, it will take a while on donkey. And he on one donkey and you walking, because the other two people were walking and Solomon was on the royal donkey. And they went down to the Gion and, you know, baptize him again and fresh him up and he come back up. I know it didn't take 3 months or 6 months or a year, because wherever Solomon was, wherever David was, the Gion was just down the hill. Huh? Man, it says in Second Chronicles that the city of David was to the west of Gion, not even to the east, to the west. So to leave the city of David to go to so-called Israel, you have to cross the River Nile. Solomon didn't go too far to go and get blessed. My point is this: the whole thing that you have been taught is a lie. I can't stay here forever and try to pick and pick and pick. It's a lie. And whether you believe in Bible or not, the point is that the Bible describes Africa, even if it's mythology or esoteric writings, the Bible describes Africa. We already decode that. That's why we challenged thousands of people. We don't challenge as it relates to this concept in universities. Some of you have been following for a while. One university said they're gonna write me back and they're ready for the challenge. I'm still waiting. I don't even remember the university now. I gotta go back in my notes to see what it is, just to show you how long ago that was. They must have read the book properly and said, no, man, we ain't got no challenge for this. So there's no challenge for this. Palestine is not the land of Israel. So all Hebrew Israelites who believe that, it is not the land of Israel according to the biblical description. And you cannot dispute this. I think I'm gonna issue this challenge again. I said I done with the challenging thing. Number one, nobody taking it up. And I just said, listen, I'm not in the mood for challenge nobody and debate nobody over nothing. But I mean, yeah, the white elephant in the room. Yeah, people act as if they don't see you and everybody's still talking the same talk. So my point is that Bethlehem, according to the Bible now, is to the west of the Gion. You can figure that out how you want. The city of David. Now with the biblical construct, just like how it's today in modern day Israel, you have Bethlehem below and Jerusalem above, or north and south. Now, Kemet is the ancient Jerusalem. Now, it's easy for you to say, no, man, no. Yeah, you can say that, but you ain't got no facts. All of what I just said, you can't dispute it. So why you don't just be quiet and listen to the rest of the story? But we're so dogmatic. They don't nail all the lies in our heads. So you can't dispute nothing we say so far. None of you. So just be quiet and listen. I said that Jerusalem is not in Palestine. So even the story now, when they say Moses left Egypt, that's a whole different meditation altogether. It's layered. That Egypt there is real bondage and captivity. But you see, they placed the name Egypt on the land of Kemet now. So somehow it started to play with your mind, and even we as Rastafari fall for the trap. Egypt is bondage and captivity. We're talking about Tamari here. We're talking about Kemet. I would even go as far as to say we're talking about Mizraim. But you have to know what level you're on when you're talking them things there. You have the historical level, you have the metaphorical level, and you still have the esoteric levels. There's 3 different levels. That esoteric and metaphorical is not exactly the same thing. Both of them may be symbolic levels, but they're different in science. So all those who say precise, I don't know, he's saying about he picking up the pharaohs. Which pharaoh? Which pharaoh you talking about? Is Khufu you talking about? Is disrespecting Khufu talking about? You're calling him a pharaoh? He's a what the word be again for the Nesut? What the other one? The Hemet Nesut. And that's the unification of who you calling pharaohs. Stop dissing the man. Nobody here talking about no pharaoh. That's the lies that they put on us. The Hemet Nesut. That's the wife of the pharaoh. That's the wife. And the Nesut, the Nesut Biti, give thanks, Nesut Biti is what we would call the king. All king, and so them in some strange words. You ain't got no problem with king, but you have a problem with pharaoh. So you believe, I mean, the Bible says that they built the city of Ramesses out of straw bricks. That alone should tell you. Ramesses, the great city of Ramesses, the second you're talking about, the hyper style wall, and the whole alignment of the 20th of February and the 20th of October, that the light comes into the temple and illuminates the temple, and you see the figure of Ramesses the second, Ursa Ma'atra the second, in between Amun-Ra and Raharakate, with Ptah out of the light of the sun. We're going to do a whole lecture on that one of these times. Don't worry, because that's deep. That city wasn't made from straw. The Bible said that they built the city of Ramesses out of straw. They ain't got no city of Ramesses in Kemet make out of straw. Granite and limestone and different. No straw city there. That's to show you something mix up. Because the king, the Nesut in Kana, his name is not even Ramesses. Ramesses is somebody else. You see the importance of names? That's why we say the thing in the sky is not Orion. Orion's story is different than the story of Sahu. Orion is not the resurrection of Asar. Orion is a hunter that killed wolves. Sahu is the resurrection of Asar. Ramesses must be some wild, uncivilized, hairy back monster. And you're going to place the name Ramesses on Ursa Ma'at-Ra, Septepen-Ra, Ramessi Murray Aman the second. Yeah, so get your facts straight, my brothers and sisters, before you, talk too fast. Your concept is confused, my brothers and those of you who Rasta I talking to, in fact, it's them I talking specifically, who think that Priest Isaac is leading the people astray, teaching them about Egypt and all of that kind of stuff. We too lost in colonialism and European Christianity and Judaism. I tell you, need to bang that out of their head and feel no way. I love you. Yeah, life giver and the keeper of life. So of course, hey, remember you could get a copy of this book. You could get it straight from me. I send you the PDF as pretty as it is here. Or you could get it from Amazon. Well, I prefer you get it from me, to be honest, but it's up to you. You can go on Amazon, you can get the True Biblical Land of Israel, you can get what's the other one there? Oh, the book Anu, Ancient and Modern. We will be featuring that in a few days as well. And of course, the book we featured previous night, which is The Heavens Declare the Glory. And if you get the 3 books from me, you get them at a special price of only $50, and you get a month free of the shock of the hour. I mean, that's really what it's all about. All right. And speaking of the shock of the hour, let me just remind you before we go again, that is tomorrow evening. Remember for sure the mystery of the ark. We're talking about the online lecture. Remember, this is not on YouTube. This is 7 p.m. sharp, a webinar lecture. Once you make your payment, you can use the Cash App. If you have problems with Cash App, we still will find another way for you to make that payment. Just contact us via email, priestisaac27@gmail.com, and that is where you will get your key for the lecture. I am looking forward to seeing you. We're talking about the mystery of the ark. Yes, until then, life giver and the keeper of life, Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, blessed love.